Dun, 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 dun. So Whip It Wednesday. So this Whip It Wednesday is going to be a little different than the rest of my Whip It Wednesdays have been so far. It's been a while since I did one, and if you haven't seen one before, you won't know the difference. So I am Claudia. Welcome to the Wee Garden Homestead. We're in the quilt room again today. Please pardon my stack of stuff back there. If you've been watching my videos lately, you know I've been cleaning out one big room and condensing it all into one small room, which I already had, but half of my small room is stacked. I can just get to my ironing board and my sewing machine. So when I went to the quilt show last week with Jocelyn, we picked up if you didn't watch the video, we picked up 8-gallon Ziploc baggies full of fabric it was supposed to be 50 cents each. I don't think they charged me that much, which is fine. But I had these bags. It was just scraps. So in trying to decide what to do with them, I wanted to condense them down and get an idea of what I had. So I started cutting what I could into, I had some big pieces first off. I have a bunch of big pieces that I just set aside. These are fat quarters or close to fat quarters. And I set these aside because they were pretty good sized pieces. Then I cut what I could into 5-inch squares because I thought I wanted to make sure they were sizes that I would use. So I've got a bunch of 5-inch squares, just what I could get out of those scraps. And then I cut what I couldn't get in 5-inch squares. I cut into 2.5-inch strips, and I have a ton of these just from those bags, a ton of them. Pink, blue, a little bit of green, a lot of pink, blue, and some purple. A lot of pink, some blue, and some purple. And then a few other colors that were mixed in, some green and some yellow and that. I mean, look at this. This is a lot of strips. Some of them are long, like with the fabric long. And some of them are on the shorter side, like, I don't know, maybe 5 inches. So in trying to decide what I'm going to do with these, and then I have one bag here that's strips that were left over that didn't make it to 2.5 inches. A lot of these were 2 inches. These are good strips. I'll still use them in some strip quilts. And then I had one bag that I set aside. It was a couple pieces of flannel. There were a couple pieces in here that I just didn't know what they were. They were not cotton. They did not burn. They melted. And I didn't want to use those. And then there were a couple pieces that were Christmas, and I just wasn't sure what I was going to use those for. And I didn't want to mix them in with my 2.5-inch strips. Maybe someday I will, but for now I didn't want to. So I also have 2 big Rubbermaid tubs full of scraps, plus more scraps that I'm making all the time. So what I'm thinking, and I need your help with this. I need your help making a decision. So one thing I'm thinking is potato chip blocks. I want to start a project that I can just sit down. Oh, Mickey, that I can just sit down and work on here and there. So if you don't know what a potato chip block is, I'll take 2.5 by 4.5-inch strips, and I'll put 2 together like that, and I'll sew those, and then I'll take and put one on either end like this, and you keep going around. If you're not sure, Conquering Mount Scrapmore by Brenda has a really good video about potato chip blocks. She has measurements too for different size width strips. She's got 2, 2.5, I don't know. She's got several sizes, so you know how to count and how to put them together. So what I was thinking of was doing a potato chip block, and I'll try to put a picture in here if I can figure it out, so you know what a potato chip block looks like when it's done. And what I'm thinking is I'll just sit down when I have 5 minutes or 10 minutes and I don't have enough time to concentrate on a big project, that I can just sit down and work on these blocks. I'll keep them close to the sewing machine, and when I have a few minutes, I'll just sit down and zip through. I love to have a few minutes every day to sew. So I'm thinking that the potato chip block, and there's 3 ors. So, or I have this R.H. Shumway's seed catalog. I've never ordered from them, but apparently they got my name and they sent me a seed catalog. And the pages are like newspaper print. They're about the weight of newspaper print, but the color doesn't rub off like newspaper print does. I'm seeing my fingers are still clean. So I was thinking of cutting these into squares and doing a foundation block with the 2.5-inch squares and going corner to corner in the center and then working my way out. So it'll be diagonal foundation blocks. I'm thinking probably I could do 11 or 12 inches with those. It's a big catalog. Big catalog. So that's option number 2, is the foundation blocks on the diagonal. Then option number 3 is taking these 5.5-inch squares and using them for a center block and going around them once or twice. I mean, there's so many colors here. There's so many colors here. Going around these once or twice. And kind of like a log cabin block or courthouse steps, one or the other. So I need your help. Which should I do? Which should I do first? Because probably at some point I'll do all 3. But which should I do first? I need to use up some scraps. I've got tons more that I can cut. I'll just keep working whichever one we pick. I'll just keep working on it until I have enough to put together into a nice size quilt. And then I'll move on to another one. So what do you think? Please leave me a comment. Vote for which I should do first. Should I do the potato chip block? Should I do the diagonal foundation piece block? Or should I do like a courthouse steps or a log cabin block? Word just wouldn't come to me. Or a log cabin block with the with these in the centers, the 5-inch squares in the centers. Leave me a comment. Let me know. This is it for me for Whip It Wednesday. Next week, I'll give this a couple days. I'll look at the comments, and then next week I will pick one and we'll get started on that. And that'll be my Whip It Wednesday next week. So in the meantime, quilt on, people, have fun, and da-na-na-na-na, whip it good.